Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank each of you for spending your time and attending this seminar. My name is Ravi Bhatia and I have more than 20 years experience in export and import field. So today we will be covering about the basics of export management. But before we start, I request all of you to keep your phone on silent mode. Thank you. Now let's start the basics of export management. But before we start, I would like to thank each of you for coming and attending this seminar. We are delighted to share the insights about one of the most profitable business in the industry, which is exports. Now, why you should learn about exporting? See, basically you have to earn the foreign exchange for the country. It's very important because without foreign exchange the country's currency also goes down and the economic position of a country is also not healthy if the foreign exchange reserves are not up to the mark. Second thing is exports. Increase in exports leads to increase in domestic production. So when there is increase in domestic production, there is increase in employment. So the standard of living of the people also increases in the country. The third is exports are directly linked with economic growth as they contribute positively to GDP. Now currently India's GDP is US dollar 3.73 billion dollars. Okay. And exports also reduce recession. So these are the important things which one needs to keep in mind before you start your exports. Next slide. See, why you should focus on exports? What are the benefits of exporting? It is quite possible that the country to which you are exporting has a high demand for your product. So in that case, you will get good profit margins for your product. Then the second is you expand your business from domestic to overseas, and obviously you do international travel. So that way you understand the different cultures of the people. The GST which you pay on the product, the final product, that is reimbursed by the government of India. So that benefit also you get. Plus you will get certain benefit export incentives from the government. Now regarding this foreign trade policy 2023, the government is moving from incentive to remission. I will talk to you about this later as we move further. Now exports are a very important tool to increase the economic growth of a country. So the foreign trade policy is basically framed by the Commerce Ministry, and it's very important because the economic development of a country depends on the foreign trade policies of a country. Now what are the hurdles to exporting? Let us cover one by one. Export requires huge investment. This is partially true and partially not true also, because for some products you don't require huge investments. For example, let us say you want to export handicraft items, small handicraft items. They are very cheap, so you can export these items without having much of an investment. Of course, for some commodities like rice, you require huge amount of investment, but for many products you can start with low investment also. Then language will be a barrier. That is also not true, because if language would have been a barrier, then we know English better than the Chinese counterpart. But how come China is one of the largest exporters in the world? They don't know English as well as what we do, but then also they export more. So language is not a barrier. The third point is exporting is too risky. I may not get money back. This is also not true, because if you follow a certain system, if you have the right mentor, then obviously that is not at all risky. There are certain systems which needs to be followed while exporting. Then I'm too small to go global, as exports are done only by large companies. That is also not true, because exports are done by small companies also. Even a small one piece of a commodity can be exported having say 2 kgs, 5 kgs, that also is exported. So that is not at all true. Next slide please. Now what is the meaning of exports? Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of exports? Okay, I'll tell you what is the meaning of exports. See, Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act is one of the important acts which the DGFT has framed. DGFT comes under Commerce Ministry. So they have framed this Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992, and they have defined exports as: export is an act of taking out of India any goods by land, sea or air with proper transaction of money. Now what do you mean by this? You can export any commodity, not any commodity, the commodity which is allowable by the government, because you cannot export prohibited items. So the commodities which you export by land, air or sea, that has to be custom cleared, because without custom clearance, if you do exports, then that is not exports, that is smuggling. So you need to approach the custom authorities and get the shipment cleared from the customs, and with proper transaction of money. Now this means that the whatever you export, the foreign exchange remittance should come through proper banking channels. If it is not coming through proper banking channels, then it is not considered as an export. And also I would like to tell you one thing more. Now if you export through sea, so after passing the 12 nautical miles, then only it is considered that exports are fulfilled, completed. If supposing something happens before 12 nautical miles, supposing the goods are loaded on the ship, and supposing 5 nautical miles are cleared, and supposing the ship sinks, so that is not considered as exports. So this needs to be taken care of while understanding the meaning of exports. Next slide please. Now see, I have purposely shown you the goods and services figures of 2019-20, because this will be a good comparison when we look at the today's scenario. In today's scenario for financial year 22-23, the merchandise exports or the goods exports was US dollar $447.72 billion. Okay, and regarding services, it is $322.72 billion. Now the government has a target that by 2030 it wants to export $2 trillion. That is the target of the government. So for that they have done various measures have been taken by the government. We will delve into this as we go on further. Now this is just the basics which we are covering. And one more thing I would like to say, 21% of exports is the GDP, means GDP का 21% आप लेंगे तो that is exports. And imports का जो है GDP 24% जो है, that is. So we want to increase the exports percentage of GDP from 21% to 40-50%. So government is trying their best to do that. Now India's share in the global market, this was in 2019-20. For goods it was 1.67%, but now India's share in the global market is 2.34%. And for service sectors, previously it was 3.54%. Now that has been increased to 4.6%. Okay. Now how to start your own export business? For that, you need to first select your product, because without selecting the product, you cannot do exports. So you need to select the product, and after selecting the product, you need to select the market where there is a good demand for such products. And you also need to know whether the product you have selected is comes under which category of exports. There are 4 categories of exports. One is free, one is prohibited, one is scandalized, and one is okay. So finding the supplier selection, feasibility and market research needs to be done. Then you need to find the HS code of your product. What is HS code? HS code is basically a number which is given internationally by the World Customs Organization. So this number identifies the product. Otherwise there will be miscommunication between the buyer and the seller. Buyer will think that he wants this product, and the seller will think that the buyer wants this product. So in order to mitigate the differences in the product, HS code is framed. So up to 6 digit the HS code is same for all the countries throughout the world. Okay. Then setting up a business entity. You can set up a business entity by having proprietorship, partnership, limited company, one person company, or private limited company. Then setting up even an HUF you can set up. Then setting up an office, applying for shops and establishment certificate. These are the basic things which you need to follow before you want to start your export business. Now applying for IC and RCMC. Now what is IC? IC is Importer Exporter Code. This is a code or a license, export license, export import license, which is issued by Director General of Foreign Trade. Without this license you will not be able to export anything. Neither you can import anything. So you need to have an IC code or the Importer Exporter Code. To get the Importer Exporter Code, you need to go to DGFT website www.dgft.gov.in, and there is a category IC application, and along with that you need to submit your PAN and other details which will be mentioned in the form. So, and you have to pay the fees of 500 rupees. So if all the documents are in order, the IC will be issued within 5-10 minutes. Previously it used to take 10 to 15 days to get an IC. But now there is ease of doing business. The government is making technological upgradations and seeing that everything comes quickly to exporter, and transaction cost is also lessened. It is less. Otherwise, the transaction cost will be more if you go to DGFT office for the IC. Previously, it was a hell of a time, and it used to take 1,000 rupees. They used to charge for the IC fee. Now they are charging 500 rupees for the IC. Now, similarly, what is RCMC? RCMC is Registration cum Membership Certificate. This is issued by the Export Promotion Councils. So for every product or product category, there is an Export Promotion Council. Like for example, for agricultural products, there is APEDA, Agricultural Product Export Development Authority. That is APEDA. So you need to register with APEDA for the RCMC certificate. Now if your product comes under spices, so you should approach Spice Board of India. If your product is under tea, so tea board is there. So for engineering products, engineering export promotion councils. So it is very important if you want to take benefits from the government, and not only to take benefits from the government, they also help you in organizing international trade fairs and exhibitions. So it is very important to become a member of Export Promotion Council by applying for RCMC. Now previously RCMC used to take minimum 10 to 15 days, but now through online, through eRCMC, within 2 to 3 days you will get the RCMC certificate. Now creating website and online presence for your business. This is extremely important if you want to do exports, because the buyer don't know you and you don't know the buyer. So to mitigate or to lessen the communication gap, you need to have a proper website. So your proper website will show you about your company, about the certificates which you are having, and it is very important, because unless and until you have an online presence, nobody will contact you. So this is a must. If anyone wants to do exports, uh, getting a website is a must. So 5 to 10,000 also you can get a website. So it is very important for a person to have a website. Yeah, next. Now, export production and market criteria selection. Consider your area of interest or expertise. If you are interested in a particular commodity, like supposing if you are interested in rice, just a hypothetical example, if you have interest in rice and you know the different varieties of rice, so you can start your export business of rice. Of course, it will require a lot of investments, but if you have an interest and you have knowledge about that product or expertise about that product, you can go for the product selection by selecting rice. Secondly, you need to check the government portals regarding India's export product wise. Now for this, I will tell you, there are two beautiful portals of government. One is www.niryat.gov.in and the second is indiantradeportal.in. These two sites are extremely useful to get the statistics regarding the India's exports. Even commerce, www.commerce.gov.in, that is also a beautiful website. So you need to see the trade statistics, how India has exported to which markets they have exported. You need to have a basic knowledge about these statistics, because that is also very important. Second is leverage friends, family members or other contacts abroad. Now, it is quite possible that you may have some family member abroad, let's say in USA or Canada. So you can help them, you can take their help by telling them to that you want to export so and so X product, so they can help you out. And of course, the whatever payment you made to them is internal, but they will help you out. Being family members and relatives, they can help you out with this. And keep yourself abreast of latest happenings and trends across the globe. So for that you need a proper mentor who will keep you abreast of whatever changes is happening across the globe. And secondary research, there are trade journals and reports, like for example, if you become a member of Export Promotion Council, they publish their trade related reports. That reports is also very useful to know what is the latest trends that is happening in your business, in your product. Now, these are the most products which are exported from India. The agricultural products are imported, electronics products are imported, handicraft products are imported. So, food products including fruits and vegetables.
Are these imported or exported? I mean, you are saying exported, right, from India?
Yeah, it is both exported and imported,
okay.
But exports are more compared to imports. Okay. And garments is also one of the categories. Then packaging material, imitation jewelry, leather products, gift articles, carpets, furniture, handicraft products. These are the top exported products from India. So if you have interest in all this, you can do a research of this, and you can even take help from the mentor, and they can guide you further on how to start your business if you select these products. Next slide. Okay, now supply selection, feasibility and market research. Now, before you select a product, you also need to know the raw material availability for that product. Especially if you are starting a manufacturing unit, you need to know the raw material product availability for that product. For example, if I want to export curcumin, for exporting curcumin and the raw material for that is turmeric powder. So I need to check what is the hub of turmeric powder. Is it easily available at my place or I have to take it from other states? So that is also one of the important criteria or decisions you have to take before you select a product. Then finding demand of your product in international market. Here the mentor will help you in finding the demand for the product in international market. Then finding domestic and international price of your product. That you can find out the retail price of the product by going to Amazon. Supposing if you want to export something to USA, so you can go to Amazon USA and you can find out the product retail price in that country. So based on that, you will have a little idea of what is the pricing of your product in USA market. Now, improving overall product knowledge, that is also very, very important, because when you contact your buyer, he may ask you technical questions. So you need to have a thorough understanding of the product. Like for example, if you want to export rice, there are so many varieties of the product. Then you want to export basmati rice or non-basmati rice. In that also there are various categories. So you need to you need to have a technical knowledge or the technical know-how of the product, because then only you may get an order from the buyer. If you get stuck on what the buyer wants and you are not able to answer the question of your prospective buyer, then he will not give you order. Okay, next slide. Now finding HS code and export category of your product. HS code means harmonized system code. Every product has a different HS code. As I explained to you earlier, every product has a different HS code, and up to 6 digit the HS code is common in all the countries. After 6 digit, the country may have their own codes, but up to 6 digit it is same. Now internationally this is a 6 digit. However, some countries like India, South Africa have 8 digit HS code. Let us understand how we can check HS code of a specific product with an example or two. Now see, for finding the HS code of a product, what you need to do is you need to go to a government website, www.tradeportal.in, indiantradeportal.in. When you go to that website, and there is a column where you need to type your product. So after that, they will give you the HS code of that product. So this is one of the ways to find HS code of a product. Even if you search for Google, then also you can get the HS code, but you need to cross check it with the government websites. Yeah. Now there are four categories of the export product. One is free. Most of the products fall under free category. Free category means there is no restriction on exports of that product. Now restricted products means you need to take a license from the government. You need to have a special authorization from the government in order to be able to export that product. So that comes under restricted products. Then canalized products. There are some products where you cannot export directly. You have to export it through canalized agencies. For example, exports of onions now. Previously it was banned, but now government is allowing exports, but exports is happening through NCEL, that is National Cooperative Exports Limited. So this is a canalizing agency through which you can export. You cannot directly export. So that is canalized. That comes under canalized products. Now let us understand how we can check the export category of a product with an example or two. So for finding that, again indiantradeportal.in is a very important website, and from there you can check it. Finalize your product for export after ascertaining HS code and export category. So once you know what is the HS code of your product and what is the export category of your product, you can finalize your product. Okay, thank you. Next slide. Now there are three types of exporters. One is the merchant exporters. What do you mean by merchant exporters? Merchant exporters, they do only trading of the goods, means they do not manufacture the goods. They purchase the goods from the manufacturers and then they export it. So it is a merchant export. So they are called merchant exporters. Second is manufacturer exporters. Now manufacturer exporter means you manufacture the product and then you export the product. And third is service exporters, means you offer services to outside clients, so that comes under service exports. Yeah. Next slide please. Now as I said earlier, for setting up a suitable business entity, you can set up these different entities like sole proprietorship, partnership, LLP, private company, limited company, one person company, trust, registered society and HUF. Now if you want to select which category of product you want to export, the best person you can ask is your chartered accountant, because he will be in a better position to help you in selecting the category of business entity and what formalities needs to be done. He'll be able to guide you much better. Now naming your company, brand name selection. Now for naming a company, your company's name should be short. It should not be big, because if it is big, then it is quite possible that your buyer will forget the name of your company. And secondly, once your company's name is a small name of the company, then after that you need to write international, impex. So that way person will come to know that this is an international company which does exports and imports of a particular commodity or commodities. So try to include the industry and specialization. Keep short name, as long names are difficult to recall. Now ease of pronunciation is also important, because if we say a very big complicated word, the international buyer may not be able to pronounce it properly. Then keep in mind the cultural, social and religious sensibilities to avoid offending anyone in the target markets. That is self-explanatory. Now setting up an office. Now for setting up an office, there are various options available to an exporter. One is you rent the office premises, that is you take it under legal license. You purchase the office premises, you operate from home, or there are co-working spaces also which you can use to operate your business. Now it is important to take a well-calculated decision with respect to office location to avoid logistic issues, disruptions, cost overruns, etc. Because if supposing you are located in Delhi, but your office is far off from Delhi, so then it will have problem for you to commute from your office to Delhi. That will involve some cost also. So it is very important to have your office premises in a locality where everything is accessible. The transportation, everything should be accessible easily. Now you need to apply for shops and establishment certificate. For applying for shops and establishment certificate, it is issued by Labour Department of Municipal Corporation. So it is very important. Without this, you will not be able to start anything. Even for applying for IEC, we need to give them this shops and establishment certificate. Otherwise, they will not accept your application. PAN number is also to be given, and shops and establishment certificate also needs to be given. So license is generally granted within 7 to 10 days once you apply. Yeah, before that I want to cover one thing which is not mentioned in the slide, that is GST. It is very important to have a GST number, because without GST you will not be able to do exports. although GST is exempted from exports, or even if you pay GST, the government will reimburse you the GST amount which you have paid. But nevertheless, it is very important to have a GST number. Without GST number, you will not be able to do export or import of any goods or services. Okay. Now, after that, you need to select a good bank. Now, selection of a bank is very important. Now, there are three types of banks. One is the public sector banks like the State Bank of India, Canara Bank. These are state-controlled banks. The second is private banks like HDFC Bank, Axis Bank. And the third category is international bank like Citibank, HSBC Bank. These are international banks. So, based on your requirement, you need to select the bank. But it is very, very important to select a bank which have an authorized dealer code number, because not all bank branches have an authorized dealer code. If you select a bank which have an authorized dealer code, then your documents, once you export the shipment, the documents are directly sent by the authorized dealer bank to your buyer's bank. That is very, very important, because without that, if you select a bank which does not have an authorized dealer code, then they will collect the documents, they will send it to the authorized dealer branch, and they will again check the documents, and then it will go to the buyer's bank. Now, supposing you want to export something to Dubai. Dubai, the vessel takes 3 to 4 days to reach Dubai. But your documentation, if you don't select a bank properly, your documentation reaches the buyer's bank very late. So he may incur certain demurrage charges. So that is not good, because the country's reputation is also at stake. And secondly, you can strain your relations with your buyer. Okay. Now select a branch near to your office premises having AD code. Then check schedule of charges and minimum balance requirement. Now you need to also check what are the conversion charges, because at the time of exports and import, foreign currency is involved. So they have their own currency conversion charges. So you need to check with the bank what are their currency conversion charges are, and how much minimum balance criteria is necessary for you to open a current account with them. Yeah, next slide please. This I've already covered. To apply online, visit DGFT site. Yeah, next slide please. This I've also covered. One thing I just wanted to add here. Now, supposing you deal in multiple products and you are confused like which export promotion council to approach. So for that there is FIO, Federation of Indian Export Organizations. So FIO is one export promotion council where if you have multiple product categories, you can apply for RCMC and you can get benefits from them. Yeah, website creation is extremely important for export business. Now you also need to create accounts on social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. This is very, very important. And then create interesting content including videos about your company's product and share it on various social media platforms. That is very, very important. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you must have enjoyed listening to this basics of exports management. In case you have any questions, please feel free to ask.